Hi everyone, my name is Ann Rogers. I'm a Research Data Manager at PMA, and the purpose of this video is to go over commit standards set by PMA. If you're unfamiliar with GitHub or GitKraken, please see our earlier videos, the GitHub SOP, the GitKraken support website, or the GitHub help page. Now, in a previous video, you were shown how to make commits using GitKraken and the various elements of a commit, the changes in content in the commit summary, the commit description, and the different branches that commits can be made in a repository. So the first element of the commit standards at PMA is what branch should you be making a commit in. The very first rule that's been discussed over several videos is that commits should not be made in the master branch. As you can see in this current repository, the master branch is checked out, which means we should not be going to the working directory and editing this file because those edits would be made to the master branch. So if it comes time for you to need to update a file, you need to decide what type of branch it needs to go in. And basically the question you should ask yourself is this a change that is relevant for every single round of data collection moving forward? Or is this change only really relevant for this current round? If the change is only relevant for this current round, you would commit those changes in the round branch here. So you're in a round branch. Now you can make your edits and save them and commit them for all of your round specific changes. But if you were working on something that was an update to the template and should be used for all rounds moving forward, you would put those changes in a do file update branch or template update branch, like so. And you would name the branch accordingly. So to reiterate, no commits to the master, commits that are relevant for all future rounds go in template update branches, commits that are only relevant for a current round go to the round branch. The next element of commit standards is when do you make commits? It would be fairly tedious to have to make a commit every single time you save your Stata do files. So really you should start making your commits once you're done working on a file. So once you've saved all the changes that you're interested in making, you can come back to GitKraken and make all of your individual commits using the different staging methods that were shown in the previous video. If your work may take several days, you can just make all your commits when you're done working for the day. Now we get to the next element of the commit standards at PMA. We've discussed which branches to make your commits in, when you need to make commits, but now we get to what should be in an individual commit. At PMA, we prefer to have as many commits as possible, so even though it is technically possible with GitKraken to make a single commit that includes every change you've made in the last day, we require breaking down the changes into smaller individual commits. The reason for this is that it is fairly easy to undo a single commit in GitKraken, and if we create commits that have a bunch of changes in them, when we undo them, we would need to redo all of the changes that were right if like a single line of code were incorrect. So at PMA, the content that should be included in a single commit are changes of the same type and changes that were made for the same reason. To illustrate this, we'll be going through all of these commits individually and showing how each of these commits meets the PMA standards. On top of the content of a commit, every commit has its commit summary and commit description. At PMA, commit summaries must include the file name of the files you edited, and the commit description must have a reason for why you made the change. So We're going to go through each of these commits individually, starting from the bottom of the commit graph. So here we have the master branch, we have added core HHQ-FQ cleaning do files. As you can see here, when we click the commit and we look at the commit panel, the summary includes what files were added, the description includes what was done, and then we see here that these were all files that were added. This is all a single commit because all of the changes were the same type of change. They were all the addition of a file, and they were all made for the same reason. The files were all added to the repository so we could begin working on them. Now, the next commit in the series is in the 2019 September 20th AR branch. You can see that because it branches off here, which means if it's in this branch that it must be an update to the template that will be used for future rounds. So let's see. This commit, format loops in country-specific clean weight. The description is format loops for readability. And you can see here we modified the country-specific clean weight do file. If we look at it, is it a modification that was relevant for all rounds? Exactly like the description and the summary say, the loops were modified with indentations just to make them more easily readable as loops. This is a change that we would want for all future rounds, so it's in the appropriate branch, and all of the changes made in the file were the same type of change made for the same reason. So this should be an individual commit. The next change removed FP add radio label from FRQ data checking. Click. The description is example. The question was dropped from the questionnaire. Well, that's definitely a change that would affect all future rounds, but let's move into this to make sure that's the only change in the commit. And here we see the only change is removing the FP add radio label. There's only one change. It's perfectly acceptable for when there's only one change for that to be a whole commit. Then we have removed FP add radio encoding from FRQ data checking. Again, as before, all of these summaries have included the file name that was affected so far, and the description explains why the change was made. The question was dropped from the questionnaire. As with the previous commit, that's definitely a change that affects all future rounds, so it is in the appropriate template update branch, which you can tell from the branch name, 2019-0920 AR. So let's go here and make sure that that's all that's happened in this commit. Yes, it's just one change, dropped FP add radio from this encoding code. Now, these standards can be a little flexible. You could, if you wanted to, have combined removed FP add radio encoding and removed FP add radio label from FRQ data checking into the same commit, and your commit summary could have been removed FP add radio from FRQ data checking and kept the same description because those changes were made for the same reason to the same file. Now, moving in to the next commit, we are in a different branch now. This is the round 1 branch. Even though it looks like it's a continuation of the master branch, since the master is here and round 1 is up here at the top, we know that it's in the round 1 branch. So let's check out the round 1 branch. This is a branch for data collection, so the commits in this branch should only be relevant for a single round of data collection. Let's start here, updated macros in parent file. Then the description is updated macros for US round 1. Let's check. As you can see here, the only changes that were made were macro changes. So even though several macros were affected, they are all the same type of update, a macro update, and they were all made for the same reason: a new round of data collection is beginning. And finally, we have updated cleaning by RE female. Updating the cleaning by RE files is always going to be a single commit at the end of the day when you're working on them. These are the only commits that defy the other commit standards that we set for PMA. And in a future video, we will go in exactly how to update the cleaning by RE files, since they're one of the most important files in the PMA process. So to recap, commit standards, you should always make sure you're working in the correct branch. And then when you're making a commit in a branch, you should always make sure that the content of a commit is either of the same type or made for the same reason, and that the commit summary includes the file name, and that the commit description includes the reason why you made the change. For further clarification on this, please see the SOP or watch our other videos, and thank you for watching this one.